Kingdom greetings and blessings to you, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we are the ALFREDS. We are here for balancing matrimonial equations. And the subject matter we want to deal with right now is what we'll caption clash of interest. Not clash of the titans, but clash of interest. You know, there's this clash of interest between relatives and couple, in-laws, I mean. You know, there are some families you find out that when the husband and wife come together as one, their relatives, that's your in-laws and relatives, are supposed to also bond as one family. But sometimes there's this clash of interest. Your relatives are either feeling that your partner is taking everything from them, is taking all of you, and sometimes your in-laws are feeling like they're not getting enough from you. And then sometimes that the relatives and in-laws start even hating themselves for fighting. Do you know that just this month I've handled more than 5 cases? Recently, there's a man that came to my office for counseling, and this man told me the issue he's having with his wife is that his younger brother had an issue. At the same time, his wife's younger brother had an issue. And then he attended to his younger brother's issue because of one reason or another. And then the wife started feeling like, oh, you value your relative more than my relative. And the man was like, it makes him sometimes when his in-laws need something and his family member needs the same thing and he can't settle the both at the same time, he'll just be confused, not knowing the one to do first, because he's afraid of being accused and then he'll have issues in his own. You know, sometimes some women also feel like their husbands are not trying for their relatives. And then I see some women also complain that, oh, my husband relates more with his brothers. My husband will tell his secrets to his relatives other than me. That he spends more time with his relatives. Let me just do this issue before I go to, it's an ambiguous issue anyway, but let me just handle it. So please, if you're a man or you're a woman and you're in this position where there's clash between your relatives and your in-laws, sometimes you don't know who to give preference. I'd like to make you understand that preference must be given in the order of priority. Exactly. You know, sometimes, for instance, your relative wants money for something. At the same time, your in-law also needs money for something, and you don't have enough to cater for both of them or to accommodate the both demands at the same time. You want to settle one after the other. You know, which do I do first? If I do something, I expect that couple should understand that the first thing you consider is this thing they are demanding for, is it a necessity or a frivolity? Yeah. You understand? Yeah. Sometimes, okay, for instance, your brother may want to do a wedding, or your sister want to do a wedding, and then you have promised to start that I'll give you so amount of money for your wedding. And then the next thing, suddenly your in-law falls into one problem or another that is life-threatening. It could be surgery that's required, and then the money needs to be raised urgently. You not tell me that because this one is my relative, let me give him money for wedding. When my in-law is dying and needs money for surgery. So if you check it based on necessity, this money for the wedding, you can do your wedding even without food and drinks. Exactly. But without the surgery, this person will die. So in order of necessity, you check the one of my relative and one of my in-law, which one is necessary? Which one is necessary? More important. No, I'm coming. Okay, we talk about even more important too. That's one aspect too. I want to deal with necessity and also important, because you realize that sometimes your relative may ask you, your in-law now ask you that, see, please, I need money I have 1 million naira and I need 200,000 to complete to buy a car. I really need a car, and you know that the person needs the car for real. You understand me? And then suddenly your relative comes up and say, my landlord is driving me out of the house because of house rent. You will not tell me that because I have promised my in-law 200,000 to complete money to buy a car, and I tell my brother that, see, the only 200,000 I have, I want to give to my in-law to complete one and buy a car. No. I have to tell that person that, hold on, car is important, but in order of importance, order of priority, the rent is more important. Without a car, you have a house where you lay your head, but without a house to lay his head, so I'll consider that one first in order of importance. Then another aspect I also think that we should put into consideration is how urgent are these needs. If one of them, let me not mention in-law relative now, it could be any of them, any party, vice versa. If one of them is requesting for school fees, for instance, school fees is important, but maybe the semester is just resuming, and the other needs exam fee. I think the exam fee is more urgent than school fees, because you can say, okay, I'll give your school fees later. Before it gets to the middle of the semester or the middle of the term, I'll start at the school fees. But this month, let me give to the one that needs exam fee, because without paying exam fee, he may not be allowed to write the exams. Now, these are a few examples I have given. You can apply it in other aspects. Don't be confused who to attend to first, or whether your in-laws or your relatives. Now you must understand that your judgment not be lopsided.
Yeah.
You have to be neutral and also sensitive. You must have to give your in-laws their space without driving your relatives out of their place. Your relatives will be feeling like, oh, we have been there from your birth with you, but in-laws just came along the line. In-laws are also feeling like, oh, what are they feeling like? We're important after all. You married our person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So you have to do that. So please, ladies and gentlemen, don't be confused. Apply wisdom in your decisions. You can sometimes even discuss with your partner.
Yeah.
Let your partner know why you're taking these decisions.
Exactly.
Like now, I can tell my wife, see, baby, I know I promised your sister or brother this, but considering what my brother needs this money for, it's more important. Let's do it on first. Even if it is her money, she'll raise it, let's set it on first.
Yeah.
Because we understand one another. Well, I know that the main problem sometimes why these disagreements is not even the issue. The remote cause is misunderstanding, disagreement between the couples, and then when the couples are not living in unity, every little thing can just trigger their grievances and make them offended. So please, and then I also want to advise the in-laws too. Always understand that nobody's taking away your brother or your sister. Allow your brother to enjoy with his wife. Allow your sister to enjoy with her husband. Don't complain. Focus on your own family. God bless you.
Okay.